Hello, I'm Simon Brodkin. Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Simon Brodkin, welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show. How are you today? Coming to us live from the beach.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks very similar to a couple of other beaches I've seen, but I can assure you this is the original, and I'm just chilling here in beautiful... Okay, I'm in my shitty study and it's too shameful to show. So I've done the cheat option instead of clearing up. Instead of you who've got the lovely poofed pillows and the Sarah O'Connell Show classic YouTube lighting and the plants, you're a bit more organized than me, but I'm cheating and I'm happy.
I was going to say, I was worried that your house had got a bit flooded or something, but you're at the beach, so that's all good.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm at home, obviously, like everyone's been for the past year and a half. Here I am. And I'm fat. I couldn't use my old laptop, had no option but to show my actual life. And when I saw that back, I was like, okay, something needs to change. Either my life needs to change or I need to get an upgraded computer. And you see the answer in front of you. I went for the computer.
Fair enough. So you initially actually studied medicine at university and became a doctor. So can you tell me, what is your favorite medicine?
Laughter, obviously.
It's brilliant for leg cramp.
It's so my favorite medicine, diamorphine, is a cracker. People don't realize that this is heroin given out to patients. Normally, when they are coming to the end of things, we just go, you know what, have some heroin, because life's now literally too short. So that's probably diamorphine. Don't do this at home, kids. But that is actually heroin, what is given to people. It's a brutally effective painkiller. When you're not in pain and you take it, that's when the issues come about.
Absolutely. So absolutely do not come to the end of your life. People at home, be immortal.
I think that's wise advice, Sarah. We always tried to tell that to people in the hospitals. They rarely listened.
It's frustrating, isn't it?
Really?
So can you tell us how you first got into comedy and what your first gig was like, that first time up on stage?
My first on stage experience was as Lee Nelson, which was the first character that I put up on there. I'd never really done stand-up comedy as myself until recently, a couple of years ago, just before the pandemic. No, about how many months before the pandemic, but it was always characters. And so, went on stage. I think it was bar 180 or something in Islington. All the pints were £1.80. That shows just how long ago it was. Now I think it's called bar 1080. And yeah, it was great. I always just felt at home on stage in character. Few people took me seriously, got offended, and the joy. I think it was actually an incredible bill with Simon Amstell and Russell Kane all on the bill. That's decent. You'd pay good money now for that, instead of the nothing that they paid then. And it was great. It was fun. Yeah, and the beauty of stand-up, anyone can give it a bash. Very different to medicine, whereby, you know, you don't want to slot someone in for a quick 10 during an operation and see how they get on.
It's very true.
It's very true.
Although you can have certain surgeries where you get a type 5.
You get a type 5. Obviously, your a heart bypass. You want to give new talent a little bash, a little crack at your myocardial surgery. Obviously.
Yeah.
I see we're both good at talking shit. It's good to have someone who I can talk utter bollocks with, Sarah. I suspect we could go have this for hours.
I feel like we should just have a live stream and we can just walk past the camera and just say various nonsense at each other all day long.
Count me in.
So what initially attracted you to character comedy? Were there other comedians doing the same that you loved, or were these characters, especially Lee Nelson, that you were just playing around by yourself and developing that character in your spare time and you just wanted to try that first?
So, yeah, I was inspired by Alan Partridge. So obviously Steve Coogan stuff, Ricky Gervais's stuff, Sacha Baron Cohen's stuff. character comedians that delved completely into the character. That just felt totally natural to me to do. It never crossed my mind I would be myself. It was always in character. And they were just people who I'd observed. I think someone like Lee, I'd seen just on the bus, gobbing out the window, but having the best time, just with this amazing state of mind that everything's a laugh, no matter what destruction you cause around you. It was also peak kind of Asbo time. The Chav thing was just coming up. And the reason I took him on stage, as opposed to some of the other characters that I was forming at the time, was he just felt the most three-dimensional, the most that I could easily inhabit. And obviously stand-up comedy, unlike other art forms, Sarah O'Connell, is that there is no fourth wall. And what does that mean? Your YouTube viewer is thinking. It means that there is interaction between the audience and the person on stage, quite unique to stand-up comedy. If you try shouting wanker during a performance of Hamlet at the National Theatre, you get booted out. If you shout wanker performance at the Comedy Store, generally people around you will laugh and the comedian has to deal with it. And that's why when you go on stage in character, I always found that you want to have someone who you can completely think as, and not just be, oh my God, he's thrown me off the scent. I had my script here. And that's the kind of cool, fun, different thing about stand-up. And that's why I chose Lee. Because you can bounce into him. You like, yeah, easy, yeah.
And you said about breaking through that fourth wall. At the moment, you have no walls behind you at all.
I have just Sky now. That was part of the.
I've got Sky as well. We don't have Virgin in this area.
You don't have Virgin, okay? Just to Sky person, yeah. I've got Sky, yeah. I've got Sky. I've got the VIP package. I don't want to brag, Sarah. Don't want to brag, but Sky have given me their best package.
Very nice.
Complimentary, because I need to mention it on every YouTube show that I go on. But we're talking bullshit again. One of us has got to stop the other person, otherwise this will end in hours of nonsense. But you were talking fourth wall. Oh, that's it. You were making a rubbish joke about my Zoom background, and I went in hard and carried on.
Good, I appreciate that. Now, one thing I love about Lee Nelson, the character, is that the character isn't static. If you watched your earlier performances and then now, the character has evolved and his life has evolved. And I love that you've done that.
Yeah, thank you. I think with a character, they are funny things. They are almost all characters represent a moment in time, and they represent a certain person who people observe. Certainly the characters that I perform do, and therefore, unlike, see, at the moment I'm doing stand-up comedy as myself, and there's a big tour coming out, which is all as myself. Kicks off in September, Sarah. SimonBrodkin.com, Sarah, is where you should go for tickets. Yes, tickets are selling fast. Yes, you should come along to my national tour, Simon Brodkin Troublemaker. Nice of you to ask. Now,
nice of you to invite me.
You are coming, okay? You are damn well coming, okay?
This is my ticket. I'm going to show you the video.
Yeah, 100% you're coming. And you can see what happens when you break the fourth wall by shouting wanker at me. And you can see, you see, you told me to do that, Simon. So what I'm learning, because I feel like I'm a kind of beginner at actual stand-up comedy as myself, and one of the fascinating things has been to be able to talk about your life, your opinions, your situation, which of course evolve as time goes by. But with a character, it's like this moment in time that you've picked, and you've picked this one thing, and so they don't have real family, they don't have real children, real aspirations, and so I think to move them along is, something that I was aiming for, particularly after Lee had been on television for 3 series of his own on BBC Three and was famous. And it felt weird to kind of keep that Sports Direct outfit on, because it was kind of like he had kind of made it. He could acknowledge that. And that's also what was nice about doing Lee. He's go, yeah, I've been on telly, I'm well famous. So it felt weird to stick him in exactly the same circumstance, because kind of his life had moved on. But yeah, I mean, someone like mentioned before Alan Partridge. I mean, what an absolute masterclass in shifting that character. I mean, I don't know whether he's in the Guinness Book of Records for that, but it feels as fresh as ever. How many years on? I don't know, but it always moves and always moves with it. There's very few characters that you can do that to, or very few people who can carry that off.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so have you ever had situations where a member of the audience didn't understand that Lee Nelson was just a character?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it all happened all the time. You know, you in a way it's a compliment, because I'm obviously pulling off so realistically that they're thinking it's for real. And I always, you know, that's always what I wanted to do with my characters, is be them completely, not a single chink in the armor as to where you can see the person behind the character. And yeah, there's been many occasions. I remember one Edinburgh Festival, I was taking the mick out of this guy. Edinburgh Festival, incredible festival, thousands of shows going on there all at once. I'm sure you've done your show many a time from Edinburgh Festival. And you know, there's comics coming out of everywhere. It's not like just famous names. And it was early on in my career, and I was there performing. There weren't many people in the room, as happens for almost every show. And I was bantering with someone. The whole show was Lee. It's actually, I think that show then led to me getting the BBC Three series. So fortunately, this didn't happen on the night when the BBC came, but taking the piss out of this guy's shoes, as you do. It was late at night. We're talking Glaswegians. I don't want to be stereotypical here, but they did the Glaswegian thing. Like, what are you taking the piss out of my shoes, mate? And obviously, I'm not going to drop the character. Go, darling, I'm actually an incredibly well-mannered and well-respected comedian with a background with a medical degree. And I was like, yeah, of course I am, mate. Yeah, these are your shoes, mate. Anyway, so basically, my manager, who was in at the time, who's a big lad, ex-rugby player, you know, and he ended up dragging this guy out of the room before he knocked me out. So not many people can say their managers have saved their lives, but mine have. And yes, often people, you know, were thinking, I'm for real.
That must be quite stressful when that happens. So in 2007, you starred in Al Murray's multiple personality disorder show. Can you tell us how that collaboration came about? Al's been on my show a couple of times.
I don't know exactly how it came about. I think he was looking for, you know, brilliant performers to be alongside him, so he didn't have to do every scene, every character, everything. Al's amazing, obviously an absolute master at stand-up comedy and character with his pub landlord. If anyone wants to learn about character comedy and how you can perform that live, check out the pub landlord, because it is absolutely blinding, and the way he deals with the crowd is just first class. So he did this multiple personality disorder show, which was lots of characters of his, and he wanted to give some newer talent some opportunities, I think, and to play alongside him. And also I did Lee on that show. I did Jason Bent on that show. So he gave me a real head start and a real opportunity to shine on ITV. And it was a great show, and it was a lot of fun to do with Al. I think Jenny Eclair was in it. So it was a big laugh. In fact, we just did an interview recently with me, Al, and Jenny Eclair, and it was like, oh my God, it's a multiple personality reunion.
So I think one of the first times you appeared on TV as yourself was Comedy Central's Roast Battle, where you were battling against Dane Baptiste. Is there anyone else that you'd love to roast?
That roast battle, that's a funny show. I can't work out whether it's brilliant or awful, the whole thing. It's if you haven't seen it, it's basically two comedians just ripping the piss out of each other until one of them cries or wets themselves, and then the panel of judges decide. That was a good laugh. Dane's brilliant comedian, and he won. I'm not bitter, but he won. But you're right, that was one of the first opportunities I had to go on television as myself. That was a kind of interesting experience, because everything up to that point has been in character. The whole way you hold the microphone, the way you walk, the way you talk, everything. It's like muscle memory. It's like playing football all your life, but going from playing in goal to playing in midfield. So you want to pick up the ball, but you can't. Who else would I like to roast? Hell, I mean, is there a comedian I wouldn't like to roast? The higher the profile, the funnier the roast is. In fact, in America, they've got it great. You know, they're roasting like Justin Bieber and Demi Moore and like big, huge name celebrities. I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah. I think, but when people show that they can take a roasting, it shows It shows they've got a good sense of humour, or they were offered a fuckload of money to get roasted. Either way, it works.
So in 2017, you starred in Channel 4's Britain's Greatest Hoaxer, and in one stunt, you very famously handed Theresa May her P45, reportedly from Boris Johnson. My question to you is this: how did you get into the front row? Was it a similar situation, such as like a comedy club, where you don't sit in the front row because you're worried you're going to get picked on by the MP?
Yeah, I think so. There was just empty seats at the front, because everyone knows that once Theresa does her crowd work, no one's going to come out of that looking good. So I was just like, do you mind if I sit here, mate? They were like, yeah, help yourself. Theresa is on fire today with her banter. She was hosting the Tory party conference, of course, with a lot of top comedians, including Boris Johnson, Michael Gove, and the rest of the cabinet. Yeah, no, that was fun to do. And I talk about that in my show, actually. So come and and I talk about how that stunt actually wasn't on the Channel 4 show, Britain's Greatest Hoaxer, but on Britain's Greatest Hoaxer, I did Donald Trump, and I talk about the difference between the US security and the UK security. And, if you want to assassinate a head of state, you probably want to lean towards the more laxer UK security. Although, obviously, once you get close, Joe Biden's probably easier to finish off with just a boo. That was a fun one, as all the stunts are. I'm one of the few people who, when I get arrested, it means everything's gone right.
Absolutely. So speaking of which, so you went up to Scotland, you knew Donald Trump was going to be there, you went to one of his brilliant golf courses, and you somehow managed to get an exclusive first look at his new brand of golf balls, which were being released in the shops that day. And I imagine he just put them straight back on the shelves afterwards. Were you worried about getting shot or anything like that when you were there, or did you think they probably won't do that?
I was more worried about getting shot with the Theresa May one. The more time you have to think about these things, the more you start thinking about getting killed. And it was so tense right up until the last minute with Donald Trump as to whether I would even get close that I wasn't even thinking about it. I was told that there was talk of pulling guns, because don't forget there was CIA, FBI, the Secret Service, his own personal bodyguards all there. But thankfully, it was, look, I wasn't stupid. I didn't go, everyone, I'm about to kill the president. I scattered loads of golf balls all around him. Check out my YouTube if you want to see exactly what that stunt's about and exactly what happened. But it was a fun day in custody. And it was the Scottish police who actually got me. Thank God. Because I'm not sure I'll be speaking to you right now. I'll probably be doing my Guantanamo Bay podcast or YouTube show, speaking to some of the Middle East's biggest danger men. This week, it's Muqtada Al-Sada. Thanks for coming on the Simon Brodkin Guantanamo Bay show. So it was the Scottish police who got me, and they arrested me, and they cuffed me, and they shut me in the back of a van. I was crapping myself. And then this big burly armed officer yanks open the van door, just looks at me and says, "Use me." Are very fucking funny. It's a lovely moment. Thank you, Scottish Police Force.
That's amazing. So was that your scariest encounter with the police doing one of your hoaxes? Are they normally quite understanding when you explain it was just a prank and, it's part of a TV show?
It varies tremendously. I mean, in Manchester, when I did the Theresa May stunt, they were not the biggest fans of the Conservative Party in general, what with Theresa May being in charge of the Home Office, and she pulled huge amounts of police funding. So they were kind of, "You're under arrest." Nice one, lad. The one where I was treated the worst was in Switzerland. It was at the VW, it was at the motor show. And VW were announcing their new car, and the managing director of VW was there. And I went on stage dressed in VW overalls as they were announcing their new car. Do you remember the cheat box scandal? VW were attaching cheat boxes to their cars. So when the emissions were tested, it showed they were way lower emissions than they actually were. It was unbelievable. So I went on with a box saying cheat box, and then snuck on stage, hid it under the car, and went, no one's going to find out about this one. So I was arrested, then handed over to this other police unit, and they didn't know what had happened. All they'd been told was the guy had snuck on stage and attached a black box with wires coming out of it underneath the car. They thought I was Al Qaeda, and they weren't all that nice to me, as you can imagine, until I persuaded one of the higher up police officers to search me on Google and realize I was a professional idiot. And then the mood changed, and it went from waterboarding to can we get a photo of you? So that was scary.
And then you also devised a character who was a rapping rabbi, went on to Britain's Got Talent, worked out all the ways that you could tick all of their boxes, got 4 yeses.
Yes, I did. That's going on my grave. 4 yeses. No one's going to take that away from me, Sarah.
It's very true, except for the production crew who kind of later did when they found out who you were. But if they hadn't have rumbled what you were up to, were you planning on going all the way through to the live finals?
Hell yeah. Rapping Rabbi, Stephen Goldblatt, his nan had died, and mum had died, and he had turned to Jay-Z and Britain's Got Talent for solace, and was doing this rap about how amazing Britain is, how amazing Britain's Got Talent is, how amazing Simon Cowell, Alicia Dixon, who else? Dave Williams, who's the other one? Who's the 4th person on that show?
Amanda Holden.
Amanda Holden. How could I forget Amanda Holden? And it was just a box ticking exercise. And how many cliches can I say and act on stage with a pretty bad rap to get me through? And they loved it. They lapped up. It was fucking great, and we were going to get through, and I was next round and blah blah, and about to get the interviews. I think it was Ant and Dec that rumbled me.
Really?
I mean, they've got very little to do. Let's be honest. They're by the side of stage doing nothing, just checking out, see if anyone's trying to prank the show. And that was a gutter. So yeah, after all getting through, after all the effort, and again, on my YouTube, there's the whole story of how that happened and working out the character and how my nose fell off just before, not my actual nose, prosthetic nose fell off the Rapping Rabbi just before I was about to go on stage. Anyway, it was a good laugh. And yes, I absolutely was planning to go on to the final.
Now, you also appeared on Simon Cowell's X Factor as well, interrupting a performance from Stereo Kicks. You also interrupted one from Kanye West. But can you tell me, has that ever happened to you? Have you ever had someone come up on stage and interrupt one of your performances?
I'm probably owed one, aren't I? When you list mine, I'm probably owed Simon Cowell running onto my stage. Yeah, no, I have had a couple of people. I've had a couple of... I think in Edinburgh, one of my big Edinburgh shows, someone ran on and tried to throw money over me. Listen, if someone does it, I've got very little comeback, haven't I? I'm like, yeah, okay. I've done it to a few people. It's time someone did it to me. After Kanye West being on stage with him at Glastonbury, which was a buzz, obviously, because unlike Bar 180, there were like 100,000 people there. And I got dragged off. It was a brilliant Glastonbury moment because I got taken off the stage and the head of security dragged me off and then took me to one side and they said, don't do that again, off you go. It was amazing. And then I haven't done it again since, so it clearly works.
Really does. And so have you finished doing pranks for now? Have you got ideas of ones you'd like to do in the future or future targets?
The moment the tour is taking priority, because that is, I don't want to be in prison for a long period of time when I've got a show to write and just a wall to write on, just scratching in the sides there. So that is, and also with the pandemic, the last thing you want to do is stunt the Queen, and then you end up giving her COVID because you got too close, and then you end up murdering the head of state. So you've got, it's not a great time for pranking people at the moment.
Now, I must talk to you about Can't Wait, which was a stand-up for the NHS song. You managed to get 30 comedians together. Can you tell me how that came about and when you started thinking about it and how long it took to produce that?
Yes, so that's Can't Wait, which is a charity single, which is about all the things, but essentially mid-lockdown, I'm there. I used to be a doctor. I didn't do the obvious thing, which was go back and help them, because I haven't been a doctor for 15 years. And when I was a doctor, I was shit. So I stayed home, protected the NHS, and saved thousands of lives. But what I did want to do something, I did want to help. And I thought, what happens if I can get the stand-ups together and we all represent and do something fun, silly, joyful, bring a smile to people's faces and raise money for the NHS. So I started reaching out to people, started with people with links to the NHS. Harry Hill used to be a doctor, incredible comedian. Adam Kay, who used to be a doctor and is the author of This Is Gonna Hurt, a huge selling book about being a junior doctor. And there just was a general vibe of, yeah, let's do this, let's do something. And then it snowballed and started off as a tiny little project. I wrote the song with Hugh Davis and Bennett Kavanagh, both very funny musical comedians. And then it was just texting, and lots and lots of yeses. And then it was a huge undertaking to film everyone. And some we did at one part of the lockdown, so I could do it on Zoom, and others we did another part of lockdown. So I went around to some of the houses and editing it, producing it, had an incredible music producer who just so many people, from comedians like Jack D, Joe Brand, ex-nurse, Miranda Hart. There's just so many brilliant comedians on that list. Obviously, go to my socials and you can see the vid. And everyone was just up for it. Everyone was up for giving their time, and it was just a really fun thing to do. Raise some money, have a laugh, and feel less guilty for not actually being a doctor anymore.
Well, I love the song, and everyone should check it out and support it.
It was cool. We got into top 15 iTunes charts, had 3 million, watches of the of plays and watches of the vid. It's a cool thing to do. It's a cool thing to do. Gonna get a knighthood. I mean, that's, I think, all but guaranteed.
Yeah, I think so.
Arise, Sir Brodkin. I can feel that.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think that could work.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Sarah.
Congratulations in advance, because that's definitely going to happen.
Thank you. Thank you.
So you've already mentioned your tour is launching in September, UK Tour. Can you tell us a bit about it? Is it going to be just you performing, or are you going to be doing some character stuff as well?
Yeah, it is just me, which is what I always intended for it to be. Feels like a new, really fucking exciting chapter for me.
Yeah.
To start doing stand-up, proper stand-up, where you're talking, you're there, there's no gimmicks, there's no fuss, it's revealing, it's exposing. It's very, very funny, obviously, and what's interesting is obviously there is a temptation to just talk when you start. You're like, I'm just going to talk and that's going to be funny. But no, you soon actually, you still need jokes. And always my stuff, whatever I'm doing, whether in character, whatever, in a sketch, my big aim is to people to laugh first and foremost. And that is the Troublemaker Tour is the tour where I'm talking about my life, my family, what happened in COVID, what happened to me when I was at school, why I was always in trouble, talk about some of the stunts, talk about relationship with my friends, male relationships, female relationships, family life. It's me talking about, the things that I give a shit about. There's stuff about the stunts as well, what happened particularly after the Donald Trump stunt, where the David Duke, the Donald Trump supporting, grand wizard of the KKK, started abusing me on social media, and how it went from there. And there's some funny, brilliant stories about what happened after that stunt, and reflecting on it's proper stand-up, and I'm super damn excited about it. I'm doing some preview shows at the moment, and it's going down a treat, and it's a totally different experience for me, different experience for the audience, but a real connection to people, when there's no pretense. It's really cool.
That's great, and I'm really excited to see it, so I'll be sure to go and get tickets for that.
Tickets yours now, Sarah. We've covered this. You are coming along, and I'm going to give you a half-price ticket.
Oh, very nice. Very exciting. I can spend the spare money in the confectionery department, can't I?
Buy a program.
Oh, well. going to be exciting. Can't wait. So here's a question I ask every guest on the Sarah O'Connell show.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a fun fact about you, something we may not know, a hobby, a party trick, something like that?
Yeah. I sleep with 4 pillows, which then goes down to 3 and then 2 as the reading turns into, I say reading, it's looking at my iPad, slowly turns into more calming, restful, sleep-inducing 4 to 3 to 2, and then it stays on 2. Yeah, bet you didn't know it's that fun.
It's fair to say that most people would not have known that about you, unless you keep your windows open.
I'll be like, how do you know that about me? But now everyone knows that about me. Damn it.
No, that's the trick.
That is, use that one out of me. Damn you, Sarah.
You know, see, I should work for the police. I'd get all this information out of you.
Yes, I'm ready to tell you where no, I'm not going to even start going down that. You'll cut me up on YouTube to make it sound like I committed some atrocious crimes. And I won't even play that game, Sarah.
So you starred in Lee Nelson, Well Good Show and Well Funny People on BBC 3. Have we seen the last of Lee now, or do you think you might return to the character in the future?
Well, good question. For now, he is chilling. He's probably been spending lockdown, I don't know, Magaluf, probably, cleaning a pool somewhere, cleaning a pool somewhere, and just chilling, walking around his Reebok classics, his sports shorts and no top, probably. And I've been focusing on doing the stuff. There's new characters, and there's obviously the big drive, which is doing stand-up as myself. Have we seen the last of Lee? Who knows?
Exciting.
Who knows?
Now, have you got any advice for anyone that wants to get into stand-up comedy or is just starting out?
Yeah, I do actually, because I was thinking about this the other day. I think someone reached out to me on Instagram, and because I feel like I'm kind of not starting again, but starting this new chapter of stand-up as myself and learning all those skills and doing the little clubs just to make sure that everything's, you know, going great and I can perform at each level before the tour. I think what people have got to understand is stand-up comedy is skill-based and talent-based, but it's also an apprenticeship. And just like anything that's an apprenticeship, you have to put in the hours and you have to realize you're just not going to get it at first. And it takes years to get good, and take the highs with a pinch of salt, take the lows with a pinch of salt. As long as that overall graph is steadily upward, you have to put in the stage hours to get good at it. It's a hell of a thing.
Can you tell me, in addition to this massive tour that you're about to embark on, have you got anything else in the pipeline that you can tell us about for this year or next or beyond?
There's a sitcom idea that I'm working on. There is a podcast idea that I'm working on that I hope to kick off after the tour kicks off, because, you know, it's been a funny year or year and a half of just craziness of not even knowing whether the tour would happen. It's been moved twice. And also, when you go on stage as a stand-up, you want to make sure the stuff you're talking about makes sense in context of the real world. Yeah. And that the goalposts keep changing. So only recently has it been like, okay, this tour is now happening. This is the world. This is how people are thinking. And so it's been a kind of, okay, let's get focused. Let's get head down and let's make sure this tour is proper, up and running and smooth as anything. Because comedy clubs have only just recently opened. And normally every comedian, people know this, but they will run their stand-up in at the little clubs, the bigger clubs, and then you start doing previews where you're warming up. So by the time you comes to date one of someone's tour, they are on it. And so there's only been recent opportunity to do that. So all these other projects have had to be pushed back. But my main aim at the moment is to be a fucking brilliant stand-up comedian as myself. And the other things will start to happen after the tour kicks off.
And, you know, I've seen you live a few times and you've always been incredible. And I highly recommend people get tickets for your tour as well.
Thank you, Sarah. And I highly recommend people watch every single one of your YouTube shows.
That's much appreciated. And by the way, you're also on Cameo, aren't you? So people can get messages from you for birthdays, anniversaries, divorces,
funerals, bar mitzvahs, anything you like. I will be there. Divorces. Did you say divorces?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just stole your joke and repeated it back to you. So yeah, it's Cameo's a cool little fun thing, which obviously at first like really, but it's fun. It's a laugh during lockdown. It's been nice to be able to do something and give people some funny, interesting, fun, cool messages. So yeah, get yourself a Cameo.
Absolutely. And so finally, have you got any messages for people watching the Sarah O'Connell show and your fans around the world?
I would say any messages for people watching the Sarah O'Connell show and the Sandra, could you get a better dream team? Sarah chatting to Simon, it's a thing of beauty, and you need to just keep on watching both of us forever. Yeah. And the Sarah O'Connell show is awesome. The Simon Brodkin show is awesome. And there's just an explosion of awesomeness that I feel maybe the internet's not quite ready for, is what I think.
So we're going to have to take this on a worldwide tour, I think.
We're taking this on a worldwide tour, which I think it sort of is on the internet, but a live one. We'll do a live one. We'll repeat this interview verbatim in venues around the world. Yeah,
I mean, we've been working on this for years. This is scripted. Every word of this has been painstakingly rehearsed. We have understudies. It's a whole massive production.
Yeah, it's 17 years in the making, and I feel like we've smashed it. Yeah. This is our 4th take today, and I'm a little bit exhausted, but I think we've done it now. And you were realistic, I don't know if people understand this, but I'm actually I'm Sarah, and I've got the makeup on, and you think that's Sarah, that's Simon. Yeah. And she's got been 7 hours in prosthetics.
Exactly, and we now have to record this in all the other languages too, which we should have done by lunchtime.
We wanted to give people in different parts of the world not this kind of subtitled nonsense, but their real language. And it's taken us, 13 years for me to master all those languages. And I feel that we've done ourselves proud, the nation proud, the universe proud. And if there is a greater performance by 2 people on earth ever, I would just say to them, fuck off, you're wrong.
The amount of effort we've put into this, I mean, granted, we are still just speaking English, but slightly louder, but I think that still counts.
Yeah, I mean, we've done all those different languages just a little bit louder. But yes, I do. Do you understand? 2 beers. It's worth it.
I normally just point and say cheeseburger really loud.
Just right. I think we all do. We are, as a nation, an embarrassment when it comes to speaking other languages. And yet when we go abroad, we obviously expect everyone to speak English. And they spoil us by doing it, okay? So it's your fault, foreign people. Stop making an effort, and we'll have to start making an effort. Get off my chest for a while.
All amazing. So Simon Brodkin, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a lot of fun chatting to you.
My pleasure. Great talking to you, Sarah. And I've been meaning to do this for a long time. It's great to get it done and speak to you for real. So great show. Keep up. I'll see you on my tour.
Very much looking forward to it. And thank you to everybody watching at home. Be sure to share, subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and leave lots of lovely comments. I'll see you all again soon for another episode of the Sarah O'Connell Show. Bye. Woo!
I'm Simon Brodkin. If there's 2 things that you have to do in life, 1, subscribe to the Sarah O'Connell Show. 2, come to my tour. Thank you, Sarah. And I highly recommend people watch every single one of your YouTube shows.